Hello and welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. My name is GOUDEAU, and in this video we are going to do an analysis of the storm that's upcoming that's going to be affecting most of the people on the East Coast, from the Northeast and New England down to the Gulf Coast and Texas over to Florida. So if you're on the East Coast, everybody in this country, basically the West as well, for most of the western half of the nation, are seeing and dealing with this storm now over the weekend. Here it is Saturday night where when I'm recording this video, and that storm is currently moving out of the Pacific Northwest and into the Intermountain West. It's starting to spread some heavy snow across the northern Rockies as well as the Cascades. You're going to see some heavy snow. As we all know, that the northwestern corner of the nation has been in a precipitation deficit, so much needed precipitation is being received right now, so we appreciate that. But it is coming in the form of predominantly heavy snow in the higher elevations up above 7,000 feet in the mountains, and we're seeing that rain down on the valley floors, Seattle and Portland, and those metropolitan areas in the Pacific Northwest, as well as in Spokane. Maybe Boise, Idaho is going to see some of that rainfall, and some of the towns in Montana like Missoula and Bozeman, you're going to pick up some of that rainfall and maybe some snow as well in some of those locations. So if you're in the Intermountain West this weekend, you're going to be dealing with that storm, but it's going to help to enhance the warm conditions across the state of California and the Southwest. So we're going to continue to see those 90-degree temperatures. Nearly 100 degrees in some locations like Yuma, Arizona has been the nation's hotspot, has been seeing highs in the upper 90s at nearly 198, 99 degrees respectively. We've been seeing temperatures like that in that region. So this is a very dynamic storm we're going to be dealing with here, and we're going to talk about that storm and some of the features and the aspects of that storm and how this storm is going to affect many in North America, especially the United States. And eventually it's going to make its way into Canada and affects the folks in northeastern Canada, New Brunswick, and also the Canadian capital, Ottawa. We're going to see this storm affect Montreal and Toronto as well. So let's jump into our maps right now. This is your first alert weather forecast, and this is the first alert storm analysis as we analyze this specific storm that's going to cause problems across the entire country, from the west coast to the east coast, north to the south. So here we are with the first map. I kind of created this map to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to see from this storm as a whole. So we're seeing blizzard conditions. We're going to start with the western half, and we're seeing blizzard conditions here in the central mountains, central Rockies and the northern Rockies, the Montana there. We're going to see across the Glacier National Park, the Grand Teton, Cody, Wyoming, and Jackson Hole. So if you got vacation property up there, or maybe some ranches, you're going to be dealing with some blizzard conditions in that part of the country. So the Central Rockies here, Salt Lake City down into Utah, maybe Denver as well. You're going to be dealing with some heavy snow accumulations there, maybe 6 to 10 inches in some spots. Some areas can pick up over a foot, maybe as much as 2 feet of snow in some of the higher elevations. You're going to see that. We're going to see a wintry mix of some rain and snow down here in New Mexico. And you're also going to have areas of New Mexico where there's going to be fire weather at the same time. So the southern end, the southeastern end of New Mexico is not going to see that precipitation from that storm system. So Albuquerque, maybe Santa Fe, you might see some slushy accumulations, maybe some rainfall, but about 1/4 of an inch of rain, maybe less than an inch of snow. So you're going to see that for your area. But Las Cruces, maybe down along the I-10 corridor in New Mexico into Texas, El Paso, you're not going to see any precipitation, as you're going to be under the influence of this dry line associated with this area of low pressure. This is our storm right here, our center of low pressure here across the Central Plains. That's going to eject out of the mountains into the Central Plains, and it's going to have this dry line here, which is going to act as the anchor for severe weather. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's deal more with the Pacific Northwest. We're going to see snow here across the Cascades here in Washington, and we're going to see that snow as well. Spokane, might see some snow and rain mix. Idaho, Boise, you're going to see that mixed precipitation as well. We're going to see those dry conditions here for the state of California and the far southwestern corner here in Arizona. We're going to see predominantly dry conditions in Arizona, but Flagstaff might pick up a little bit of snow, as well as Pine Top, Show Low, maybe Sedona. Those areas might see some of that mixed precipitation from the southern fringes of that storm system. So we'll see that, but that high pressure is going to hold strong here across the far southwestern corner of the United States. But let's move over to the east. Now we're going to get into the high plains, North South Dakota, eastern Montana, eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado. You folks are going to be in a wintry mix of precipitation from this storm system. So we'll see some slushy accumulations, maybe some rainfall mixed in, not too heavy. The accumulations are going to be light, but it's going to be kind of a long duration of this wintry precipitation. But you're going to be on the north end of that warm front there, so you're going to see that wintry precipitation. And as you move to the south of that warm front and ahead of that, along that cold front, some of these storms will also be on the backside of this cold front as well, because you do have that dry line there that's going to help to anchor some of these snows, some of these thunderstorms. This is where we're going to predominantly see our severe weather. So I'm going to stand over here, but we're going to see that severe weather here in Louisiana, East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, up into Arkansas, Missouri, maybe southern Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. You're going to see the risk for some severe thunderstorms out of this. Then we'll see general thunderstorms to the east along the eastern seaboard here, the Carolinas, South Carolina. We got southern Georgia. We have Florida as well. We're going to see that severe, some regular thunderstorms. Eventually, these severe storms will make their way to this area as this storm makes its way to the north and east. This storm is going to move. In fact, I may have this line too shallow. It should be more like this. It's going to take a beeline into southern Canada. So we're going to see this low pressure move northeast into Canada pretty much in this general direction. So I don't think the low pressure is going to cross the New England states, but it is going to go into Canada, and it's going to drag that warm front north through the New England state. And eventually this cold front is going to come in behind it, and that cold air is going to rush in behind on the backside of the storm, as we're going to see a major kind of sort of an Arctic blast here as this storm moves off to the northeast. And we're going to see some persistent rain showers here in New England and the Great Lakes, eventually transitioning over to a wintry mix in parts of Michigan, maybe Wisconsin, and northern Minnesota. It's going to see that wintry mix. But we're going to see it warm enough just for rain here across the Twin Cities, central Minnesota, northwest Wisconsin, and central southern Wisconsin. It's going to see rainfall into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. It's going to be warm enough for rainfall. You may even see some thunderstorms as well on Tuesday and Wednesday as this warm front lifts to the north, and maybe some of that tropical moisture can kind of influx into this area here and spread the potential for some scattered thunderstorms. But I don't think they're going to be anything severe for this part of the country. So that is kind of a dynamic look of what this storm is going to look like as it as a whole makes its way to the northeast into southern Canada. So here we are looking at our forecast map, and this map is going to kind of take you for your Sunday, and this is what we're going to see for your Saturday into Sunday. So we're going to see this fire weather here across Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, maybe southeastern Colorado. It's going to see that dry, windy conditions. And you're also seeing those strong winds come up out of the south because of that storm system coming out of the mountains. And that warm, moist air is going to be coming up, but you're going to have that dry line. You have that dry line in place because in the upper levels of the atmosphere, you have cold mountain air coming off of the mountains, and that cold air comes off aloft off the top of those mountains and sinks. So as the air subsides, it warms as it moves over Texas and New Mexico, western Kansas, western Oklahoma, west of Oklahoma City, west of Dallas, towards the state line with New Mexico. You're going to see that cold mountain air warm as it subsides to the surface. And it's going to lead to those windy conditions as that Gulf air comes up off of the Gulf of Mexico and overrides over the top of that drier air from the mountains. So it's going to create a nice dry line in this region, but it's also setting the stage for some critical fire weather. So we see that potential there for dangerous fire conditions. And we're going to see that light rain and snow here across the central mountains as that storm kind of gathers together and gets its act together. More persistent snow across the northern Rockies, Idaho, northeastern Oregon, and central and eastern Washington. These are areas that have been in extreme drought conditions as well. So I'm sure they appreciate some moisture. Some of the onion farmers up there and the apple farmers in the Washington area, I'm sure they're appreciating to get some meaningful precipitation for a change. But this storm is kind of going to gather and get its act together and move out into the plains. And here's a look that we're going to see for your Monday. So this is Monday as we're moving into the future here. And we're going to see that fire weather continue for this region where we have that dry line set up right in here. So that dry line in place is going to keep that fire danger. It's going to have high winds blowing through this area, and it's going to be very dry. Humidities are going to be in the single-digit humidities for this region, and temperatures are going to rise into the mid-90s for many locations as that warm air advection comes up ahead of that storm system. And we're going to start to see maybe thunderstorms take place here across the Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley. So we got Illinois, Indiana, maybe Missouri, parts of Kansas, Oklahoma City, and we're looking at Kentucky, Ohio here. We're going to see some general thunderstorms move all the way into the Great Lakes. We'll see rain here across the northern plains here in Wisconsin, northern Michigan, central Michigan maybe, southern Minnesota, central Minnesota. Gonna see that rain. We'll also see some rainfall here across southeastern South Dakota, Sioux Falls. You folks are gonna see some rainfall as well as the Twin Cities. You're gonna be right on that line of rainfall and mixed precipitation. So the northern edge of the Twin Cities may see a rain snow mix, while south of 94 across the Twin Cities, you're going to be all rain, maybe even some rumbles of thunder in southern Minnesota. It's certainly possible for your Monday. And we'll see that snow continue across the Intermountain West, the northern Rockies, and the Pacific Northwest. We'll see that snow continue for that region as this storm really kind of gets its act together. On Monday is now out in the Central Plains, sitting out over Kansas right now. As we saw on my other map, I had it positioned perfectly. You see that low pressure center right there. That's the center of our big storm. But that dry weather is going to continue as they got a thermal low in the southwest now that's going to help to keep those temperatures on the warm side across the southwest. As we look toward the northeast, we're starting to see that warm front drift northeast now. So it's going to start to spread maybe a little bit of light snow, but this is associated with another area of low pressure, maybe an Alberta Clipper that's going to be across the northern sections of New England and southeastern Canada there. But that's going to spread some light snow accumulations for that part of the country. And here we are with the next day. Here we are looking at your Tuesday as we work our way through this big storm. Now we start to see the severe weather take place. Tuesday, we'll start to see that severe weather. Dallas, Texas is here. We see it for East Texas, eastern Oklahoma. We got Arkansas and far southern Missouri that's going to be in this severe weather watch area here. So that area has the potential for some tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, and flooding rainfall. So flash flooding is going to be possible with some of those stronger thunderstorms across portions of the Mississippi Valley there. Eventually, this is going to make its way into the Mississippi Valley, Alabama, maybe Tennessee and Kentucky, and eventually we'll see it in the Carolinas as well, and Georgia will maybe by Wednesday and Thursday. You folks will start to deal with that potential for severe weather as our big storm here makes its way toward the northeast and moves across the country. And here we are with the temperature profile for the next 5 or 6 days. We're going to look and show you how this storm is going to be affecting the temperatures across America. As we look here for your Sunday, we are going to see those temperatures very warm across the southern half, across South Texas here. We're seeing those mid 90s down here in southern Texas. We're also seeing those upper 80s and 90s here in southern Arizona and southeastern California out in the deserts of southern California. So we're seeing those warm temperatures from that compressional heating coming off of that cold air coming off of the mountain, sinks down to the surface and heats up quickly as we have a strong area of high pressure down here that's south of that storm system. So it's going to keep that warm air in place as it's trapped in that area, and we're going to see that warm air start to come up off of the Gulf, because when your low pressure is here, if you are on the eastern side of that low pressure, you're going to see that airflow come from the south as it pulls up that Gulf of Mexico moisture, and it's going to bring high winds with it as well as that warm air advects to the north. So we're going to see those temperatures reach the 50s and maybe into the 60s here into Iowa and northern and central Illinois. We're going to see those temperatures hit those 60s across Nebraska as well for your Sunday. So we're going to see those temperatures kind of warm up here as we're getting a reprieve from the cold air that we've been seeing over the last few days. But it's a trap because it's ahead of that big storm that's going to make its way to the east. And here we're going to see for your Monday, this is the temperatures for your Monday. We're going to see those 90s here across Texas. A little bit of a reprieve in the southwest as those temperatures fall back into the lower 90s and upper 80s as opposed to 98, 99. How about 92 or so and 89 respectively for Yuma and Phoenix and Tucson. So we're going to see the temperatures kind of fall back a little bit as they get a little bit more influence from the north from that big storm system as that storm is making its way to the east now. So now here we are on Monday, and that storm is in the Central Plains states and it's pulling that warm Gulf of Mexico moisture up. So we're going to start to see those thunderstorms here, that we're going to have those thunderstorms blowing up here across the Central Plains, the Midwest, as well as the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. We're going to start to see general thunderstorms and those temperatures warm across the southeast because that storm is making its way toward the east. And we'll also see temperatures warm in the northeast as well as the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. And here we are for your Tuesday. We really see that surge of warm, moist air now across the deep south here and the southern plains into the Midwest and the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, the Northeast as well, the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. We're going to see those temperatures hit those 60s. We're going to nearly see 60 here in the Twin Cities in the state of Minnesota. We're going to see 60s coming up for your Tuesday in Minneapolis here. So we're definitely going to see those temperatures warm and may even see some thunderstorms move into our area as well, especially across southern Minnesota. So if you're in, say, Rochester, Austin here, or Albert Lee, maybe you're in La Crosse, you may certainly see those opportunities for some rumbles of thunder as that warmer, moisture air moves in. But you're getting that storm system that's going to kind of be centered right in this area as well. So you're going to get that cold air aloft, and that cold air bubble above that area of low pressure is going to set the stage to help create thunderstorms for the upper Midwest. So you're definitely going to see general thunderstorms through this area and rainfall as our warm front is going to be right about in here as you can look up the temperature profile, you can kind of see where the fronts are. So you see your warm front here, and you see your cold front right about here, because you're seeing that cold air come down out of the mountains. So this is our area of low pressure. It's going to be probably right about in here. So you'll see that as it makes its way toward the north and east. So let's move on to the next day. Now we're talking about Wednesday here. As we look at your Wednesday, you're seeing those 60s and 70s right all the way up into the northern plains in the upper Midwest here. So you're seeing those 70s all the way into Wisconsin and Iowa. So we're seeing those 60s and 70s move across the Ohio Valley into the northeast. We're starting to see those 70s, but we're seeing 80s and upper 80s and lower 90s across the southeast as that warm, moist air. And we're also seeing that severe weather right in this region right here with those warmer temperatures, and you get those higher dew points. When I looked at the dew points for this storm system, then as I looked out ahead Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday, 60-degree dew points make it all the way into the upper Midwest here to Illinois and parts of southern Iowa. We do see dew points hit the low 60s, so we are going to probably see some upper 60 dew points, maybe some lower 70 dew points here across the lower Mississippi Valley. So we're going to see that that juice, that thunderstorm juice for those severe storms. Now let's take a look at what we're going to see for your Thursday. Now we have that frontal boundary making its way right in here. So that our low pressure center is now in southern Canada. So we're seeing those 80s and those 70s and 80s kind of get a little bit more suppressed toward the southeast, as that cold front is now making its way to the east and is bringing those temperatures down. We're also seeing losing our 60s and stuff that we had here in the upper Midwest. We're seeing 30s and 40s return, as it's going to be some heavy snow for some folks in this region. So if you're in the northern Dakotas and Montana, you're going to certainly see the potential where some folks can pick up as much as 2 feet of snow. At least that's what I'm seeing when I look at the GFS for this period. So we're going to see that potential for 2 feet of snow. At least that's what the GFS is indicating. How much that realizes, we'll have to wait and see and fine tune it as we get closer to those days. But it is painting the potential for a lot of snow for some of you folks in this region right here. So that is a look at the temperatures of this big storm. Now here is our snowfall. Now remember, I was just talking about that heavy snow. That's this region right here in North Dakota. This right here is at least 18 inches plus of snow. So it can be as much as 2 feet. So this is what the GFS thinks is going to happen with this snowstorm. And if we look at our date here, this is by the 15th. So by Friday, this is going to pick up 2 feet of snow for this region. And we got some isolated 2-foot totals here in the mountains, but this is the mountains, so this is expected for this area, as well as Sierra Nevadas. We get some 1-foot snow totals as well across the Sierras, and that's where they need that snow for the water supply in Southern California and Southern Arizona. So that is a look at the snow. A lot of this here is like 1 to 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, light accumulations, but we do have this isolated spot here where it's going to be some very heavy snow potential for the northern plains across North Dakota. So here we are with our rainfall, our QPF, our cumulative. This is how much moisture the atmosphere can dump on the earth from this storm system. This is our QPF totals, and this really for a lot of this area, this is about a lot of this is less than 1 inch of rain. So most of this area here is about 2 to 3 inches. This is that 2 feet of snow area, again, right here across northern Wisconsin. But it also paints it into northern Minnesota. But northern Minnesota is not predicted to get that much snow because it's going to be warmer over Minnesota because of the trajectory of that storm system and where the low pressure center is going to be going right like this across the state of Minnesota. So like we saw with the last storm, we're going to see it with this storm as well, almost an identical setup, but this storm has a little bit more moisture to work with. So it's warm, and it's going to be warmer as well. So we're going to see more of that potential for thunderstorms here in the upper Midwest and in the Twin Cities. That potential for a few rumbles of thunder out there, but nothing severe. I wouldn't worry about any tornadoes or anything like that in the upper Midwest. But anything is always possible. So it could go left on us, and we have a major storm outbreak, but unlikely at this time. But so anyway, that is a look at the QPF amounts of this storm output that we expect to see with this storm system and any other weather systems that's going to be, because this is up to Friday. So from now through Friday, this is the amount of rain or snow that's expected to fall. So this here indicates 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. If you was to convert that snow into rain, that's what you would have. So that is kind of an analysis of what the storm is going to be. Here's a look at the upper air patterns. This is the 500 megabar height anomaly. This is about 3 to 6 kilometers above the surface of the earth. We're going to be looking at the upper air patterns going on. Here is our storm system making its way across the northeast. And this is going to be for what we're going to see on the 14th. I've kind of chopped this storm up and put it at important locations at times where I think how it's going to affect the weather. So when it gets to this area, this is where we're going to really see that severe weather take place here across the southeast and the southern states. We're going to see those thunderstorms make it all the way into the upper Midwest. And we're going to see that snow across on this side of the storm, across northern North Dakota and Montana. This is where we're going to see that heavy snow, and you're going to see the warmer air on this side, colder air on this side, on the back side of the storm. And this is our trough here. So we're seeing that trough here on the west, and it kind of an elongated trough because it's kind of a double barrel, as there is another area of low pressure here that's going to be across the Pacific Northwest. On the backside, we get a little bit of high pressure right here, kind of a low amplitude high pressure ridge there that's going to make its way to the east, and we get a high amplitude ridge on the east coast. But it's kind of a transient pattern. It's not going to really be able to block anything. It's going to progress on off to the east northeast as this high amplitude high is it's not going to really form any strong blocking, as we are going to be in a pretty progressive east to west pattern. And here is a look at the temperature anomaly. And this is your departure from normal, what your climatology would be, where your standard deviations are, and this is how far. This is what we're going to be looking at for the 14th there. You see the 14th? So on the 14th, here's what we're going to see as far as your temperature anomaly. This is below normal. This is about 15 degrees below the average for this time of the year that we would expect to see. This is the backside of that storm system. Our low pressure center is going to be right about here on the 14th as it moves off into Canada. And we're going to see, now if you are on the eastern side here, you see that warm air, that very warm air above average temperatures make it all the way into southern Canada. We got Montreal and Toronto here, Quebec up there. So you're going to see those warmer temperatures before you get blasted with rain and snow. So this is that warmer air on that front side of the area of low pressure. Very powerful, dynamic storm we're dealing with. That's why I kind of want to show you all of this, because this storm is very dynamic. And here is a look at what our climate outlook is going to look like for the 6 to 10 days. So when we get to this is what we're going to see after Friday, like what we just saw in the last map, how cold it was. This verifies that cold. So we'll see this 50% chance of being below average for the upper Midwest and the northern plains from the for the 6 to 10 days. For the next, after we get through this period, we're gonna get a few days of above average. But when we pass the 15th here into the 21st, we're gonna see very cold temperatures across the northern plains spread into the northeast. as we get onto the backside of that area of low pressure. And here's a look at what the precipitation is going to look like once we finish with this storm. The dry weather is going to continue across the western half of the nation. Here we go in Nevada and into northern Arizona, southwestern Utah. You're going to get a 50% chance or greater of being below average precipitation. You're going to get that 33% chance of below average precipitation across the northern plains, the southern plains, the high plains into Montana, the Dakotas. We got the high plains of Wyoming here and Colorado. So we're going to see that dry weather continue for the western half of the nation. But if you look east, you see that wet weather is going to continue because they're still going to be dealing with the leftover effects of that storm system. So the east will have a continue in a wet pattern as that storm slowly takes its frontal boundary offshore and into the northeast. And here's a look at the teleconnection. We're gonna talk about what we're seeing with this is our current storm here. This is the AO, the Atlantic Oscillation. So this is when we see a negative AO. This is cold air on the East Coast, cold and stormy on the East Coast. And then we look at the dates here. We see the 11th here through at least about the 18th, maybe 19th of April. We're getting between that stretch here from now through here we are. Well, what's today? Today is what? The 8th or the 9th? Yeah, today's the 9th. So here we are with the 8th. We're seeing that is neutral. It's going to go negative as this storm misses. It's slightly positive now because we're dealing with warmer air ahead of that storm. And then once that storm moves in, we're going to see the AO go negative. So we're going to deal with it as we slowly come out of that negative phase because of how long it's going to take that storm to work its way through. And here's the NAO, which is very similar to the AO. And it too shows a negative phase in the same time frame. So we're going to see that cold and stormy weather along the East Coast as well, and the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. So this is for all of us here east of the Mississippi. We're right on the Mississippi here in the Twin Cities, but we're going to be under the influence. Our weather is going to result from this as well. So here we are with the PNA. This is for you Pacific folks. And you see how negative this goes as well, as it's going to continue with that cold weather. So it's going to be cold on the West Coast and the East Coast. How you like that for your apples for you? So cold weather is going to continue for the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, as the PNA is going to be negative. But you see it's going to go positive toward the end of the month. So after the 21st of April, the PNA goes positive again. So you're going to see it warm up, and maybe you'll see those dry conditions return as while you're getting a storm system now as you're in a negative PNA phase. So that was a look of my analysis of this big storm as it makes its way across the country. So from the Pacific Northwest, the Intermountain West, the Midwest, the Northern Plains, Southern Plains, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, the Mid-South, the Deep South, the Mid-Atlantic states, the New England, the Northwest, the Northeastern states. Everybody is going to deal with this storm in some way, shape, or form. You're either going to have severe weather, you're going to have regular thunderstorms, you may get just rain, you might get rain and snow mix. You're just going to get a mixed bag of everything. I don't expect any sleet. I don't expect any freezing rain. It's either going to be regular rain or you're going to get snow. Or a mixture of rain and snow. Some rain with snowflakes mixed in, or snow with some raindrops mixed in, depending on where you fall in that temperature profile. So that is a look at this big storm. And I will be back with my TikTok and my daily weather forecast today as well. So please stay tuned for that. Check that out. And hit my TikTok channel up. The link is in the bio and in the description of this video. You can check out my daily forecast on TikTok as well. Thanks for watching. I'll be back later with the next forecast, and I'll keep tracking this storm as this makes its way to the east. Please hit the like please subscribe to the channel. It's important that you subscribe. 80% of the people who watch my channel are not subscribed. So hit the bell button as well so you're notified whenever I post a new video. I post videos once and maybe twice a day. So every day there's going to be weather updates. You're going to get the most up-to-date weather forecast. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm not like those other guys on YouTube that's going to tell you, oh, a big, massive storm, and it's just a regular storm. I'm not going to blow it up. I'm going to give it to you just the way I see it. And if it's bad, it's bad. I'm going to let you know. If it's not going to be that bad, I'm going to let you know that too. I'm not just out here just be sensationalizing just to get views. I want to keep it 100. And this is the best place to go for your up-to-date and accurate weather forecast. Now, these are my forecasts. I am a meteorologist. I'm not just making this stuff up as I go. So we keep it 100 here. We keep it a buck. Thanks for watching this video. I just had to get that out there just to make people understand. Please subscribe to the channel and help me blow this thing up, okay? All right, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. I'll see you later.